Hey everybody, I hope you are doing well. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. I am an intuitive tarot reader. I am also a shamanic priestess. By that, I mean I've gone through a lot of training in different modalities around how to work with the earth to achieve our purpose, to be more in alignment with our spirit guides, etc. I do lots of pick a card readings, which people are, really, really a fan of. I enjoy them as well. I use multiple decks, etc. And as a former journalist, so I'm very, I'm woo woo, definitely a spiritualist all day long, but I'm also a former journalist. So kind of grounded in that regard. Love getting my information, trying to get my facts straight. And to that extent, today is a political reading. I want to check in with you guys on 3 different topics that Spirit gave me. We're going to talk a little bit about this new, I've got my notes in front of me, right? Always, once a journalist, always a journalist. Before I tape, I try to get prepared for you all. So, and thank you, by the way, if you're here for the first time. I hope you like what you see and hit that like and subscribe button. If you are a subscriber, I really appreciate you. All right, let's go in. So 3 topics today Spirit gave me. One is the RNC bloodbath, they're calling it. Laura Trump is, and the other guy, what's his name, McCarthy or McCaffrey or something like that, who replaced Ronna McDaniel. But Laura Trump, Trump's daughter-in-law, married to Eric for 10 years now. She is now the official co-chair, and we all can pretty much imagine that she's going to be, one of the larger faces that we see on the new and completely MAGA rich RNC. So Laura's come on board with this other new guy, and they have just cleaned house. They apparently have let go of about 60 people. And, supposedly the whole thing, Trump soured on McDaniel because of fundraising. As it stands right now, the latest figures I could find was the RNC is banking at about $9 million compared to the DNC, which has about $18 million. So tail of the tape financially. So they are under orders, RNC, to get the money. In fact, Laura Trump, before she officially gained her position, which I think took place on Friday, this past Friday, she came out, and I found a quote where she was at a campaign rally, and she said, watch this figure that she named, given Trump's legal woes, right, and what he owes so far. So she says, we need to raise about $500 million. Ding, ding, ding. Does that number sound familiar for you all with all the judgments against Trump at this point? So we need to raise about $500 million between now and November 5th, she said. We got to make sure that people understand when they donate their money to the RNC, it's going to go to causes they care about. And what do they care about more than Donald Trump, right? So interestingly enough, and apparently there were some members of the RNC who were looking to put forth a bill to say, no matter what, yes, we need to raise money for the party, but it is the party, meaning it should be in place to support candidates down ballot, like across the nation in different races, instead of everything, all resources going toward Donald Trump. Laura Trump, I think, has got some other ideas in mind, and apparently that bill that was going to get put forth before the RNC, they squashed it. They said, we ain't doing it. We're gonna leave it open-ended. So I want to take a look and see, first and foremost, going into today, if in fact the RNC is going to basically finance and pay off Trump's legal bills under the guise of raising money for his campaign, because the two are starting to look, they're putting it forth. The two go hand in hand. We want this man to have his bills covered. We want to keep him, put him in office by any means necessary. And we don't want him drowning in, selling off all of his properties. Still don't know how he came up with that $91 million bond. That the company, what was it, Chubb, I think they said, the guarantor, like, what did he have to put on the line in order to get that $91 million bond? That I have not seen that. If any of you have, please leave it in the comments. I would love to know if there's some more specifics around what he had to put up as collateral in order to qualify for that bond. That said, I want to go first to see about that. Secondly, we're going to look at the Fonnie Willis decision that Scott McAfee is going to render. I'm thinking this week. He said within 2 weeks. This is the second week since things wrapped up. So we're going to look at that. We're also going to look at the new challengers that both McAfee is facing. He's being challenged for in the Georgia primary in May. He's got a challenger. We're going to talk about this guy. Never heard of him before. Robert Patillo. He's a civil rights attorney with the Rainbow Push Coalition, and he's a radio host. So want to take a look at him and see if that's going to be a thing, if in fact he will be a threat to Scott McAfee. And finally, we're going to take a look at the Tik-Tok ban bill, which now of all the hoopla. So apparently there are lots of issues around whether or not data and information can be collected on American citizens, especially primarily younger citizens. We know that's the demographic that mostly appeals to TikTok. Whether that information can be used to spread disinformation, whether it can be used in some other harmful way. So we'll see. That's something that's on the table. Looks like Mike Moses Johnson is really pushing for it, as well as other members of the House, including even on the Democratic side, from what I understand. And apparently Joe Biden has said he will approve and sign off on the bill if it is passed. Maybe it's going to be some challenges in the Senate with that to see if it gets through. But there is a lot. I mean, there's a lot at stake with this. TikTok is, again, because of that demographic, we know that both sides, with the whole aging issue around Joe Biden and Donald Trump, for that matter, the appeal to the young vote is going to be tremendous. So we're not just talking about, tweens and 10, 15-year-olds, but we're talking about the 18, the 20, the 25-year-olds who are also extremely active on that app. So we're going to take a look at that and see if, in fact, that TikTok ban is going to go forward. And a couple of interesting dynamics that have developed around whether or not that's going to happen. All right, let's start out with the RNC bloodbath and Laura Trump leading the charge to get this $500 million. It's just such a, they don't even try sometimes to hide it. They just want to come right out and let us know that we see each other in what they're trying to do. So, Spirit, is the RNC going to actually pay Donald Trump's legal bills? And will that money that is being raised or will be raised through the RNC, will that money be siphoned off mostly to deal with Trump and pay for his bills, as opposed to taking care of candidates in that party across the nation? Is most of that money going to go to Trump now that Laura Trump is co-chair? We have the Eight of Cups because of losses that they've already had. And we have the Sun. All right. Clear answer there. They're spinning it that the reason they need the money, of course, is because McDaniel apparently, their money just crashed and burned while she was chair. So the reasoning is we need money, period, in order to keep the party alive, in order to support the candidates. But ultimately, that money is going towards Donald Trump and those who decide, that was part of that bloodbath, because those who decide to, stand the ground and say, look, we are the party of the nation. We are the Republican National Committee for all candidates across the nation. Trump doesn't get it all, but guess what? Look who's driving the ship now. And that's what's about to happen. And we have the Two of Cups. Yep. It's already, that deal has already been made. That understanding is already there. And I also think this is the collaboration between Laura Trump and, I didn't write down his name. I'm sorry about that. What's his name? McAfee or something. The new chair that replaced Ronna McDaniel. But yes, they have collaborated with one another. They understand what their marching orders are. And we have the Seven of Pentacles. So there's this, under the guise of regrouping and making the RNC more solvent in totem, as what it needs to do to function across the board for all candidates. But that's not going to happen. That money between now and November. And I want to see, Spirit, is there going to be a substantial bump with Laura Trump yakking? Will there be a substantial bump in donations to the RNC between now and July when they have their convention? We have the Seven of Wands. A lot of blustering, a lot of pushing for it, a lot of appealing. But we have the Eight of Swords. If they're sitting at around 9 million, just under 9 million now, from what I saw, it was like 8.6, 8.7 million. And then between now and July, we're going, midway through March. It ain't happening. They will raise some money, but this has definitely put a lot of Four of Pentacles. I was waiting for it. I had a feeling that was going to come. It's about. They're not gonna go flush. They're not gonna get as much as they hope. This is a lot of talk. This is a lot of bluster. But what they do get, their impetus is to raise this money for Trump's legal funds, hands down. But their ability to actually turn out the money for that $500 million imaginary number aside, not imaginary, but fantasy, right? Fantasy land. That's not going to happen between now and whenever, much less now and the Republican National Conference in July. But it's going to get harder. It's going to get tougher. And I think this is also donors. I think this is a lot of mega donors who are, they're not convinced, especially if they know their money is going just solely to pay Trump's legal bills. That's not going to happen. And I do believe ultimately Laura Trump, Trump demands loyalty on all things. And that was part of that bloodbath, getting rid of people, because whoever stays or whoever else they bring on, now there's this blending. Supposedly part of the excuse for letting people go in the RNC was that within the Trump campaign itself, there were already people serving those functions in communication, data, IT, etc. So that functions were duplicative. So we're gonna cut corners in that regard, and we're doing it in a reasonable fashion because those things are already being, those needs are already being met. But the two things, the Trump campaign in and of itself and the RNC and its larger function, that's the conflict. And that's the thing that Laura Trump has been put in place to sort of blur those lines and make sure that what needs to be done on behalf of Trump financially will be done by the RNC. But donors, not so much. They're not going to make that money. The Eight of Pentacles, they're going to work really, really hard for it. And they're going to, they're going to put it in terms of, we want the candidates that we want in office. We've got to do this to help them. But no, people are not going to buy it. Even very deep-pocketed, And there's the Eight of Cups again. They ain't buying it. People have moved on. People are moving on from him in a weird way. It feels like there are, his supporters are his supporters, but almost supporters in name only. Like when it comes to digging deep in their pockets to put that money forth to save this man, that's where I see the challenge happening. The rhetoric and the momentum of, isolationism, the momentum of trashing Biden by whatever means necessary, that's going to continue, but I don't see the cash flowing. All right. So, Laura, yeah, good luck with that. All right, moving on. Let's move on now to the Fonnie Willis decision. I did not realize, and many of you, I love doing these tapings with you all because you're so knowledgeable. I love the comments. And I'm open, by the way, to comments on both sides, whatever, as long as something is respectful and we practice tolerance in this channel, I'm all about it. I'm have no issues with that. But, and that brings me to Scott McAfee. I did not know. He's gotten a lot of criticism for, allowing those hearings, the Fonnie Willis disqualification hearings, Nathan Wade, etc., to go on as long as they did, and to give the defendants counsel, Trump, Roman, etc., so much leeway to put forth arguments that clearly were baseless, even as their case and their witnesses began to unravel, right? And on the other hand, Fonnie Willis was given this tremendous spotlight that day that we all saw her take the stand and go scorched earth. But come to find out, I didn't realize this. Scott McAfee, she was his supervisor at one point. He was a criminal attorney, and he was with the DA's office. And he for a period of time, apparently, she was his supervisor. Now, some might argue that, in fact, if he does come back with a decision that they did not meet the bar and she is not disqualified and she can continue, there are going to be people who probably bring that up and say, aha, she was biased all along. Come to find out, though, Scott McAfee while he was in college, he led a Republican chapter in college, and he was also involved in the Federalist Society while he was in law school. So it would appear that he does, in fact, have some Republican leanings, even though he has to be bipartisan on the bench. But in terms of that, I think there's some counterpoint to be made for that, and his ability to be fair and equitable in rendering his decision. I think if they try to highlight and elaborate on the fact that he was in cahoots with Fonnie Willis all along, because at one point she was his supervisor, it's not going to hold muster. It's not going to hold water. He's got enough background behind him. Interesting side note, by the way, he's also apparently a very, very accomplished cellist. And he played and one Atlantic Records gave him a check. He played for backup for Janelle Monáe apparently at one time, not regularly. I think he had to stand in for something, but an accomplished cellist. Very interesting, and he's a millennial, only 34 or 35 years old. So he's a millennial. Really, really interesting one to watch. Now, so 2 questions I want to go to Spirit in the cards and say. Number one, let's see how he's going to rule if Fonnie Willis will be disqualified. Second part of that is now it turns out that both McAfee and Fonnie Willis have challengers in the Georgia primary for their seats for district attorney and for that office on the bench. There's a guy, this what's his name? Where is he? Robert Petillo. Civil rights attorney, Rainbow Push, and radio host. Now, he's been critical of McAfee, saying McAfee shouldn't have let, the way he's conducted the trial, that he would have done it a different way. He thinks he could do so much better on the bench. However, it also turns out that, you got to watch what you do on social media. It follows you. And so apparently when the classified documents, some of the images from that came out, the infamous images of the boxes in Trump's bathroom, right? There are memes online where this Robert Petillo posted images with doo-doo heads, that doo-doo head emoji. He posted images of that on top of those boxes in Trump's bathroom, just sort of, putting in the dig, like, aha, gotcha. So he has, there's some indications that in terms of, could he come in at the end of the year, the general election, the primaries in May, general election in November, if in fact he were to win and McAfee be ousted, is he really going to be the person to oversee that trial, knowing what he's done and said and the indication that he's given about Trump? So the idea that he's saying, I could do a better job, I'm more fair, I'm impartial, I'm this, I'm that. Not so sure about that guy. The other person running against Fonnie Willis is someone she beat before, and that's Christian Y. Smith, who is also, or was, I'm not sure if he is still, but he was an assistant DA in Fulton County, a bigwig on the city council. And when you look up his website, attorney, and the first thing you see is his face talking about, call me for a free consultation. Not a good look for Christian Y. Smith if he's really looking to be taken seriously and really trying to give a hard run for someone who already beat him. I think it was a runoff, though. I think he gave her a run for his money, or maybe there was someone else. But I do remember reading that Fonnie Willis she won through a runoff, so it was not an easy ride for her. I do want to look and see how she's going to fare down the road. So 2 things: will she be disqualified? Is she going to hold on to her office? And 3 things: and is McAfee going to hold on to his seat on the bench? Let's see what Spirit says. All right, we have the 6 of Swords, lots of lots of developments that are going to happen around the campaign for them, and keeping their eyes on the prize. They're going to downplay their personal re-election, because right now the trial takes precedence. The decision that McAfee will he render a decision that Fonnie Willis that they met the bar, the defense attorneys met the bar to disqualify her? Will she be disqualified? Strength, Ace of Cups, and the Page of Pentacles. The Star, and the Ten of Wands. You know what? This is a double-edged sword, you all. So the Strength, to me, that feels like the courage. He's going to put forth, it's going to be a really interesting decision. He's going to write the heck out of it. So keep our eyes out for that. It's going to be a really interesting decision. It's going to be, he's feeling, well, why wouldn't he feel the pressure? But he's going to come at it from a position of, this is exactly, this is what I've decided. Here's why I've decided it. It's going to be extremely well thought out, extremely well worded, extremely well received, I think, in a lot of legal circles, even those who questioned how much room and leeway he gave the defense to put forth their arguments. We have the Ace of Cups, which is interesting. I see this more as a celebration on her end. Is that what I'm seeing, Spirit? Is this the Ace of Cups, or more of a celebration on Fani? She will not be disqualified, and this is a celebration. King of Cups, that's her father. Four of Pentacles, that's her holding on to what she's done, and the Sun. Fonnie Willis is not going to be disqualified, you all. And the argument, or the opinion, I should say, that McAfee renders is going to be airtight. It's going to be extremely well written. Legal scholars, of course, they're going to dissect every bit of it, but it's going to stand muster. The Star is going to be that once this is done, it's really about redirecting the public at large's attention to get back on track with the RICO case and the facts of what really was at stake. Who she was sleeping with, her and Nathan's dilly-dally aside. Ten of Wands, this has definitely put a dent in her. This is her as well. This is Willis. This has put a dent in her, and I'll tell you what, when this decision comes, Spirit is showing, when this decision comes down, that she has not, they didn't meet the bar to disqualify her, so therefore she can keep going. The burden now, we thought she had a burden before, even in her choice to bring these cases, collectively, versus the way Jack Smith went about it, which was to do these unnamed defendants and thereby narrow it down to Trump. She's really dug herself a hole, and she's going to be so determined now to make her mark, to not only have the cases won and have justice served in that place, in that regard, but now it's personal for her. It's become not just her doing her job, but it's become, Fonnie Willis against everybody sort of thing. That's her carrying all those wands. And the Page of Pentacles, you all, this is not going anywhere anytime soon. It is just getting started. As much as we've already heard about it, as much as we sat there and watched those trials, and McAfee had the distinction of all the things that have gone on with Cannon, Merchant, Chutkin. He's the only one that we've actually had cameras in the courtroom. We've been able to watch the whole thing going on, but it's slow. Everything is just bit by bit. This is going well into next year. Ten of Cups. But there's celebration. There is celebration. Now, will that run over into this challenge by Christian Y. Smith against Fonnie Willis? Will Fonnie Willis withstand that and actually come out okay in the election, in the general election later this year? In the primary and general election, they're telling me back it up. Primary and general election. Will Fonnie Willis come out ahead in the primary and then the general election? Oh, Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, she's good. She's good. You know, the thing is, the Fulton County is what saves her. Really, we know that it is a more liberal leaning county. It is just, there are going to be a lot of people who, and I don't think it's just racial. I think there's a fair amount of supporters across all ethnicities who are going to back her, the high priestess. Why would the high priestess come with the Wheel of Fortune around Fonnie Willis? Let me see. So that makes me feel like there's something that's still going to be revealed about her. Queen of Pentacles. Will she still be the district attorney? The world. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. World often means moving on. The end of a chapter. The completion of something. And it's something that we haven't seen yet with that high priestess. It's something that has, there's something else with her that has not come to light. What is that, Spirit? What is it? What is it that we're going to learn about Fonnie Willis? Nine of Cups. And the Judgment card. Oh, I get it. Okay, thank you, Spirit. This is, she's gonna do her level best to put this behind her and go forward as if, you know, okay, now that's done. That's over with. That's done. Let's close the books on this chapter of my life and let's move on. That's what she was wishing for, that Nine of Cups. So she'll be okay. And then finally we have Judgment. Lesson learned. I'm going to tell you what, I don't know about Fonnie Willis's dating life before or since Nathan Wade, but there's been some changes made. There's been some lessons learned, because Judgment is very much a card where lessons have been learned, where, you know, Spirit is like, do you hear me now? With that trumpet and the people going, yes, I get it. It is that aha moment, like, oh, what was I thinking? And it is also known as a card of second chances, right? Second chances. I think Fonnie Willis is going to hang in there. This Christian Wise Smith is not a strong enough contender. If somebody else comes through to challenge her, that could also be, thank you, Spirit, that could be what that high priestess was about. You know, she may still have her share of detractors and people who are moving behind the scenes to say, if she wobbles anymore, we're going to be ready to come in and take over for her. But for right now, I think she's pretty solid. Let's move on to Scott McAfee being challenged by this Robert Patillo. Will Scott McAfee hold on to his position? The Chariot, moving full force ahead, and the Four of Cups. You know, he's gotten more than he bargained for. He was appointed by, he has only been there like a year. He was appointed by Kemp. He's gotten more than he's bargained for. And there's a part of this that, you know, it was said, I saw an article about him in the New Yorker, I think from last year. And when he was appointed by Kemp, he said he didn't want to be like a Justice Ito in the O.J. Simpson case, meaning all of the drama, all of the spotlight, all of the national and even international spotlight, which this case, all Trump cases are getting globally. People are watching. So I think there's that aspect of it. He's not someone who wanted this limelight. He's not someone who is seeking that and seeing that as his moment to make his mark, where he's now become a household name, but he's going to see it through. We've got the Chariot. He's going to see it through, and I think he's going to retain his seat. This Robert Patillo, and Page of Pentacles, but it moves slow again. Notice that card has come again, second time. Everything in this Georgia case is creeping at the slowest crawl, you all. And that case, I think, is going to be with us. Are we looking into the end? Middle 2025? Justice. Yeah, this is stretching well into 2025, you all. Well, it's well after the election. Well after the election. And what's going to be interesting is, so Biden wins. He's still under prosecution. Supreme Court immunity decision. Yeah, let's see how that. I'm going to do a separate taping. I don't want to go too long here. I'm going to do a separate taping on that, and we keep our eyes on that. But the Georgia case is going extremely slow, and it will continue to go at a snail's pace. By virtue of the fact that she, for whatever reason, when Fonnie Willis brought this WICO case, she did it against this broad base of defendants versus versus just Trump. So that's what's dragging it out. But I feel like justice will be served, but it's just gonna go at a snail's pace. And we are also going to continue to see, Spirit's telling me, we're going to continue to see new witnesses, new revelations, new developments, certain things that, as much as there's been done, to prepare for these cases, there's still things that are coming out, that are going to come out. So that's that. I don't see Robert Patillo being successful. He's already got, I think there's a tremendous amount of respect for Scott McAfee. There are legal scholars who have said they would have done some things differently, but you're always going to have that, especially with someone who's new to the bench. Given his age, he is a millennial, but the way he's conducted himself, and again, I think when he hands down that decision, it's just going to be so spotless. It's going to be immaculate, and that is going to solidify, I think, his position. Fani, I think she's going to pull it out because she will still be at the helm of this case. So she's still going to have a lot of support, but she's been damaged. That 10 of wands, or was it 9 of wands? I don't remember, but it was a lot of wands that on her back. The damage that this is doing, and what it's going to take for her. Yeah, she's a bulldog. She's a fighter. We saw her. She is, she doesn't lay down for anybody. Well, apparently she did. But but in the political realm and in the legal field, we put her in a courtroom, she's gonna go for it, and I think she's gonna be able to hold on to her seat. All right. Finally, let's move on to this TikTok ban bill. That is so this company ByteDance, they're basically forcing them. They're saying you got to divest, you got to sell it. But interestingly, there's this guy Yas. What's his first name? Did I write it down? No, I'm not sure. Jeff Yas. So Jeff Yas is a billionaire hedge fund guy who made a trip recently, apparently, to Mar-a-Lago to sit with who said, no, we didn't even discuss TikTok. I mean, lying is an art form to this, talking about the art of the deal. Lying is an art form with this guy for entertainment purposes only. So Yas went down, had a meeting with Trump, or, was visiting the premises, however we want to put it. And it's interesting because he apparently stands to lose. I think I read Yas could lose. He's an investor in TikTok. He could lose somewhere in the range of $33 billion if, in fact, the company is sold, right? So, of course, he doesn't want it. Trump, who used to, China, and was also talked about banning TikTok when he was in office before. Now he's just done a complete reversal. What else is new? We do whatever is politically expedient, and has said, nah, leave it alone. The young people need what the young people need. There have been messages that have been put out on TikTok through, 170 million folks on there. And counting. So apparently congressional offices have been flooded with calls from young people with suicide threats, with threats of violence, all sorts of things to object to the idea that this platform could be taken away from them. So I want to take a look. This is something that's not going away. It's something that Google and Apple have both been put on notice. If a decision is made to take it off, to strip it and ban the app, then carriers like Google and Apple, if they don't comply, they get fined billions and billions of dollars as well. So it puts them in a bind. They're going to have to go with whatever way it goes. Spirit, will the TikTok ban bill pass? We have a feeling it's going to pass in the House, then run into issues in the Senate. Biden has said he will sign off on it. That may change as well, because that youth vote is crucial. And Queen of Cups, Who's that? Queen of Cups. Queen of Pentacles. The Three of Wands. Ace of Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles. There's some kind of deal that's going to get struck. There's some sort of deal. I don't think the app is going to actually get banned. There's some sort of deal that's going to get struck. Is that the selling, or is that something, parameters put in place about how data is used, how users' data is used? Queen of Swords. You see all these queens coming on the table? And the Ten of... Okay. We're going to see some women getting involved here. But they are going to be in favor of these reforms to how the data is used, the data that is collected on the app. Now, of course, this company ByteDance says they are independent of the Chinese government, that their data is secure. They don't sell data to the government, etc. But nobody's believing that or trusting that. But I'm feeling with, okay, let me break that down. So the Ten of Cups is an extremely, you can even see there with the kids and the parents and the whole, joy. This is a really powerful, one of the most powerful family-oriented cards in tarot. So that makes me feel, and then with that, all this queen energy. Again, I've got the Queen of Cups, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords came up. I feel like this is a coalition of mothers and a coalition of women in the Senate, it feels more like to me, who are going to take up the cause and say there's got to be a path forward. Three of Wands. Let's create a path forward where we don't ban the app, but there's got to be some sort of, we have both the Ace and the Two of Pentacles. There has to be something where it's reconfigured, how the data is treated and collected. Something where there would have to be assurances in place. There would have to be perhaps even, Spirit is saying, auditors. I'm always feeling like a term, like an auditors, people who actually can keep an eye out for how data is being used. So somehow there would have to be adjustments within the company. I just don't see it being, and if it is sold, yeah, there's that Five of Wands, a continued conflict. There's that saying in the streets, people don't want that smoke. Banning TikTok is gonna provoke so much smoke from the younger generation, the millennials, the Gen Xers, etc. And people need those votes. Mafia Don wants those votes by all means. That's why now all of a sudden he's a fan of TikTok and he's a fan of Yas. I think also, did Yas offer Trump money to help try and mitigate the potential? Knight of Cups, yeah, they were just, he went there as a fan. And the Page of Wands, let me tell you what I can do for you. Let's talk about some long range plans. And the Seven of Pentacles. He didn't put money on the table. Yas didn't. He didn't put money on the table yet. But they understand. It's one of those like wink, wink, and I both know that, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. That it was extremely deliberate. That meeting was extremely deliberate because Yas, 33 billion. Yeah, he doesn't want to lose that. But there is something, I don't see a ban at this time, you all. We know energy can change. Let me put that caveat out there. Energy can change. But at this time, the way the cards are falling and what I'm getting from the spirit guides, they're not going to put a ban on it, but there are going to be some sort of reforms or restrictions, either more oversight, auditing, etc., of how data is being collected and used, and or some sort of partial deal because of that. I'm keep going back to this Two of Pentacles, a partial deal where perhaps there will be people elected to their, not elected, but people appointed to their board, ByteDance's board or oversight, or where it is not completely divested, but somehow moved around or reconfigured in a way that allows that Three of Wands, that allows the company to go forward and still continue to do business And still, because another argument that's being made is that this isn't just an entertainment goof off platform for younger people, but there are all sorts of people who are on TikTok. As a reader, I've had so many people tell me I needed to start doing more tarot readings on TikTok. There are people of all generations who are on TikTok. It is an extremely profitable marketing place. There are independent creators and entrepreneurs who rely on TikTok to gain audiences and sell their merchandise, etc. So there's some economic arguments that are being made around that as well. It's not just an entertainment platform. And I think that aspect of it is what Spirit is saying is going to, with those pentacles that came up, that Ace of Pentacles we saw and that Two of Pentacles, I think there's something about the economic aspects of it, job related functions of it, that's gonna somehow become a bigger part of the dialogue and make people have to think about the bigger picture. All right. So it's going to change that Wheel of Fortune. There are going to be some changes to it, but I don't think there's going to be an outright ban. Yeah. The Emperor. And he's going to take credit for it, of course. Once it's not banned, he's going to stand up and say, yeah, I'm the reason it wasn't banned. Remember, I'm the guy who said we needed to keep it. And the beat goes on, right? The beat goes on. All right, you all. That's what I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'd love to hear your comments and your feedback down below. And I will talk to you really, really soon. Be safe out there. Take good care. Bye. And look out for that McAfee decision. I have a feeling it's coming this week. It's going to be really interesting. Be good. Bye.